Hi, boys and girls.
We called Subaru and asked them if they could drop off an SUV at our ranch house, and let's see what they did. Well, they dropped off an SUV at our ranch house. Surprise, surprise. The 2022 Subaru Outback. We just had a Forester a few weeks ago. And like the Forester, this has the Subaru Wilderness Package. Gives you lots of goodies for extra money, of course. I'll read the goodies off my Subaru cheat sheet. Let's see, we get an upgraded suspension, a wider ratio in the transmission, front view monitor, Yokohama all-terrain tires, a dual-function off-road X mode for increased capability, a redesigned roof rails with a limit of 800 pounds on the roof, increased towing capacity to 3,000 pounds, ground clearance up to 9.2 inches from 8.7, yeah, that's important. And the approach and departure angles, I'm not going to read that, the video will be way too long. Basically, you have a beefed up vehicle here made for off-roading. With the optional moonroof that we really don't need, but get anyway, $39,965, what a bargain. The base engine in the Subaru Outback is a 2.5 liter, putting out 182 horsepower, rated at 25 in the city, 28 on the highway, but we don't get that. On the Wilderness Package, we get an upgrade, thank goodness. This is a 2.4 liter, putting out a whopping 260 horsepower. Torque is 277 at 2,000 RPM. 22 in the city, 26 on the highway claimed, 24 overall. We're taking this out in the real world to see if that's true. By the way, this hood scoop is functional. The air comes down here, it lands on these little radiator type grills. Problem is, getting debris out of here is very tricky because it's flat. Stuff gets in, very hard to get out. When you try to pluck it out, you see some of the damage here. You have to be very, very careful with this system. Just thought I'd mention that. Anytime we get a vehicle, we check, make sure there's a spare tire. There is, but I have a bunch of junk in the back. Lots of stuff in the back, so I don't want to take it out to show you. Trust me, there's a spare tire under the panel there. And the second thing we do is take the headlights out in the dark and see how they work. We'll do that later on in the video, so don't go away. Alright, let's look at the cabin. We get a stick shifter. Traditional. I prefer push buttons, but this is a CVT, not a real transmission. We all hate CVTs, but that's why you get when you get a Subaru. They seem to hold up well, so I won't complain too much. Lots of room in the glove box. Well-designed gauge cluster. The climate controls and radio is operated off this wide touchscreen. Navigation as well. Seems to be the rule nowadays. Pretty simple to use though. Instead of a control knob on other Subarus, the X mode for snow, dirt, normal, deep snow or mud is done on the info screen here. Like so. A lot of these so-called safety nannies can be turned off permanently, like the lane departure function and BSD or CTA, I forget what that is. But the pre-collision braking, you won't turn that off. You have to do it each time you turn the vehicle on. Adequate room for 2 adults in the back, but I have a lot of junk back here for ranch patrol, so that's all I can show you at this point. And the interior quality is pretty good, pretty sturdy materials and workmanship. On the Wilderness Package, you get water-resistant upholstery for wiping up those nasty spills. And if I have to mention, there's a skid plate under there somewhere. I'm very impressed with the power steering. Good feel and feedback, very responsive. I like it. Just a minor timeout here as we do in all our videos. We're going to take some miles, speed humps at 15 miles per hour to see how the suspension performs on impact. So let's do that right now. We got 4 speed bumps coming up. Here comes number 1. Very smooth. If you're rattling, it's not the vehicle. I have a bunch of tables and chairs in the back. Here comes number 2. Super smooth, didn't feel a thing. Number 3. And the nasty one coming up. This is a very, very comfortable suspension setup. Very, very nice. They did a very good job. Now back to the video drive. All right, 25.2 mpg. That's better than what we got on the less powerful engine, the 2.5 liter at 181 horsepower, because the more powerful one doesn't have to work as hard pushing on the air at the freeway. Too bad they don't offer this engine in the Forester, but if you're going to buy an Outback, I would say get the more powerful motor. More power, better fuel economy, why complain? We're going to take this Outback on a highway cruise, see what type of numbers we can get. Only got 23 of the gallon off the Subaru Forester Wilderness package with the little 181 horsepower 4-cylinder, so we do better or worse with this more powerful motor. Stay tuned. We'll find out soon enough. I'm really impressed with this engine. It's got a lot of guts. Despite the CVT gearbox sucking up all the power, baby really moves. Nice suspension too, sucking up all the impacts. Very nice suspension. Too bad they don't put this motor in the Forester. What a shame. The suspension is doing a great job absorbing the impacts on this washboard road, and the all-wheel drive is doing a great job of keeping the traction going so we don't spin out. And this body structure is very, very solid. Not one rattle. I'm very impressed. Now let's get out in the sticks to see what this can do. This is actually a very pleasant driving experience. I'm surprised. And once again, the all-wheel drive comes in very handy when you're going in this deep sand. And one advantage of an Outback is its narrow width, which allows you to squeeze in narrow trails that bigger vehicles aren't comfortable doing. Alright, it's dark enough, and we have the low beams on at the moment. Look pretty bright. And with the high beams, a bit brighter, as you'd expect. And here's what the rear view lights look like. Certainly wide enough. And when you turn the safety nannies off, you get these nasty, super bright orange warning lights that are very annoying to look at. Usually the same color as a check engine light. So I'm constantly looking over here to say, hey, what's wrong with the car, even though there's nothing. Car manufacturers need to change the color of these. And when you turn off the safety nannies, you get an indicator light on the gauge cluster, which is fine, but does it have to be the same color as the engine check light, which is a Sirius light? This isn't. It's annoying enough to look at this in the daytime, but it's super, super bright in the dark. Almost all manufacturers have this problem, by the way. I'm not picking on Subaru here. But the gauge cluster certainly lights up pretty good in the dark, along with everything else. Not many bells and whistles in here, so we don't get too much entertainment. And here's what the rear view camera looks like. Not very wide, of course, because of the design of this whole platform, but quality's decent enough. Here we have the headlights on the wall 100 feet away on low beam. Very bright, great height, good widespread. Very impressive. Now go to high beam setting. Very strong in the center, not so much on the sides. And here we got the brights on a fence 80 yards away. Building 130 yards away. Very strong in the middle, like the close range, not on the sides. And go to low beam. Really reaches out. These are nice low beams, no complaints. Some vehicles come with fixed headlights that go in one direction at all times. Some vehicles have active headlights that turn the same direction with the steering wheel. Great for taking corners. This gives you both options by pressing a button on the infotainment system. Right now I have it on the active headlight system. Turning the steering wheel. It also does it whether it's on low beam or high beam. Most vehicles it's low beam only. Great for taking corners. Overall, I'm very impressed with these lights. I have no complaints whatsoever. So we're getting something for our money here. My ranch patrol is over. I'm heading back into town. We're going to do the headlight test and a fuel economy test and wrap this video up, so don't go away. So what do I think about this Subaru Outback Wilderness after a week of driving? I do like it. I think it's kind of pricey. I mean, 40 grand, wow, but still, once you get over that hurdle, I really don't have any complaints. It's far better than the Forester I drove, mainly because of the engine power. So it's worth the extra price in my book. If you're not in a hurry, then I guess it doesn't matter. The Forester might be for you. Watch our Forester video coming up and see what you think.